Have you ever seen a holographic display? Well, I've got one here. This is the Looking Glass, and it allows you to see 3D content without having to wear a headset or one of these pairs of glasses you wear when going to the cinema. In this video, I'd love to share my experience with it and show you just how it works. So, how is this 3D effect achieved? Well, if you look at this display, it might not look like it's very high resolution, but every pixel you see is actually built up out of 40 individual pixels. And this piece of glass or piece of plastic in front diverts the light of these pixels into various directions. So that when you look at it, each eye sees a different picture. And this is how we humans see 3D. So this display provides a very natural way for us to see 3D content like we would see 3D in the real world. So they've made quite some integrations with other software in order to view 3D models on this display. So there's extensions for popular 3D modeling packages such as Maya and Blender. There's even extensions for medical visualization toolkits, PowerView, Slicer 3D, to show X-ray slices, that sort of thing, on this display in 3D, which is really cool. They had their own library of nice experiences, but when I looked at it the other day, it was sort of deprecated, and I think they're probably building their new version. But as for now, there's not that much. It's not very convenient to watch content on this thing, unfortunately, unless you develop your own apps. And you can develop your own apps using Unity and Unreal, the two big game engines. And there's also a library available for 3JS, which is a JavaScript library, which allows you to create 3D content in the browser. And you can also load these 3D scenes, 3JS scenes, onto this device and view them in actual 3D, which is quite cool. So even though if you look at it, it looks like the screen has got quite a low resolution, since every pixel is built up out of 40 sort of actual pixels in the display, it still needs quite a beefy computer to power it. I'm powering this off my Surface laptop, and it's hitting about 9 frames per second, where you really want it to hit like 30 or 60 frames per second, in order to have smooth experiences watching content on this. And about watching content on this, the nice thing is that you don't have to wear a headset or a VR headset. And the great thing about that is that you can watch the content with multiple people. So you can invite clients over, have them look at a sort of new building or that sort of things. But unfortunately, the viewing angles aren't too big. So if you veer off to the side too much, you lose the 3D effect. And I found you can look at it with sort of 2 people at the same time, but more becomes challenging. And then you lose the 3D effect, which is why you'd use this display in the first place. And about the content on this, there's like a focal point which is fixed in the center of the display. And at this focal point, all the content looks crisp and sharp. But if you bring it forward too much or backwards too much, sort of in the 3D space, then it becomes a bit blurry. And yeah, that's quite annoying, because if you only put things on a focal plane, they look flat. So you need this depth in order to get the 3D effect. And the bandwidth, which you can use where the holograms or the 3D content stays sharp, isn't too big. They're shipping new devices of this, new versions, which they say have got improved optics. So I assume they're improving this, as they go along. But that's a bit of a limitation. You can't really put in, it's not an infinite window into a 3D space. There's like a fixed width, fixed depth rather, where you can put your content in. So that's a couple of things to keep in mind. And this is the 8.9-inch version. They're now shipping a portrait version, which is I think about the same size, but has got a little bit better optics. And this one costs $600, and the portrait one costs $299, I think. So it's reduced quite a lot in price. And then they've got one version that's bigger, I think 13-inch, which retails at a couple of £1,000. And then there's an even bigger one, which is like this big, which the price isn't listed off on the site. So it's probably, around the 10K mark, I'm guessing. It's just a wild guess. I really don't know. You can also join these together. So if you've got multiple ones, you can sort of fit them together, and then they become this, larger screen, of course, made up out of, slightly smaller segments. But that would be a possibility as well. So where do I see this go in the future? Well, they're already working on bringing the price down, which is great. So I hope the next step is, getting the quality up, increasing the resolution, maybe adding ways in which you can actually naturally focus your eyes on different 3D content, maybe making it even smaller so we can incorporate these true light field displays into head-mounted displays as well. There are so many possibilities. For now, this is a great device to experiment with and show people 3D content without them having to wear a headset. And I'll be experimenting with this device and to see which use cases fit this. And I'm really looking forward to it. If you've got any comments or questions, then feel free to leave a comment. And otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.